video, we will argue how social system affects and influence our ideas of the sexuality system. We will be focusing on how sexual double standard of gender, media, and law enforcement. Let's talk about the difference between sex and gender. The difficulty people seem to have it when it comes to telling the difference between gender and sexuality. A person's gender is used as an automatic reflection of sexuality. Sex assigned at birth influences everything, including who we desire. If you are female, you must love men and the color pink. Throughout time, we have seen different gender rules are applied for different situations. When it comes to non-sexual activities, we take into account gender identity. However, when we participate in sexual situations, the genitals of a person outweigh any gender identity they might have. With our lack focus on this, our current belief and the ideas on sexuality require gender and sex. To start off with something relatable, we're going to talk about how Disney movies portrays gender and how these movies socially frame our belief and the ideas about sexuality. Female characters are always portrayed as feminism through their figure and personality. Women are fragile and need protection from men. Male characters are portrayed as muscular and masculine. Another common bug in Disney movies is men staring at women. This translates into real life. Women being catcalled and ogled on the street is nothing new in our society. It's dangerous because it leads to rape culture where men think they can ogle and sexually assault women. Our beliefs and the ideas of gender have affected the way we view and handle rape. In our society, rape is something that happens to a lot of people. However, most of the victims of rape are female. We see it through the language surrounding it. We hear phrases such as all men rape because we feel that men are naturally dangerous. This misconception had gone so far that activism efforts have resulted in persuading men not to rape.
By doing this, we are continuing to allow people to think that men have the power to rape women. We have a habit of viewing women as weak and vulnerable, whereas men are powerful and naturally dangerous. We can see this through the abundance of rape prevention tips. These tips tell women to not walk alone at night or not drink too much because men might not be able to control themselves. We can see that even though women are the victims, they are being blamed. These gender stereotypes will continue to reproduce the rape culture. Next thing we are going to talk about is how media shapes and influences sexual systems. Capitalism has pushed people to desire and behave in certain ways. It has spread heteronormativity, the belief that sexual and marital relations are most fitting between people of the opposite sex. This is seen through movies and books that shows the an abundance of heterosexual people and relationships. This ingrains the idea that we must desire the opposite gender and identify as heterosexual to be considered normal. One of the biggest things we hear is sex sells, certain sex that is, particularly sex that is in the charm circle, which often includes heterosexual, young, white, and attractive people. Sex is used to sell non sexual products more than sexual products. We see a typical attractive female with little clothing on trying to persuade us to buy a hamburger, or a cute heterosexual couple showing off their clothes from Old Navy. These type of things influence our desires and expectations about sexuality. Another form of sex that sells isn't necessarily in the charm circle is BDSM. BDSM is an activity that involves physical constraints, dominance, submission, and inflicting pain. Despite the stigma around it, there are certain aspects that we accept, and that's woman as the dominant figure or homosexual couples spicing up their relationship. Our acceptance of this can be seen through plenty of advertisements and pop culture images that depict this.
Another place we see our sexual double standards in the media influencing the sexuality system is through ads around sexual protection against STDs and pregnancy. A majority of these recommended protections are aimed at women only. It seems we feel men play no role in those types of situations. An example of this can be seen through HPV vaccines. Although it can be given to both boys and girls, it's only advertised towards girls. There have been a number of vaccination commercials showcasing the need for them to get vaccines. Another example is when male birth control was being looked into and some men were not happy about it. Our society has conditioned that it's a woman's job to take care of those precautions when it comes to sexuality. Lastly, we're going to discuss the effects of law enforcement on sexuality, particularly those outside of the charm circle, such as homosexuals and transgender individuals. In our justice system, we have something called selective law enforcement. There are certain laws that are intended to protect certain groups of people and stigmatize others. An example of this is sodomy laws that would only be enforced with homosexual men and not enforced for homosexual couples doing the same thing. This can also be seen through crimes involving violence against transgender women. There are a number of cases where a cis male has beaten or even killed a trans woman after finding out the sex they were assigned at birth. When these crimes are taken to court, rather than the offender being punished for their wrongdoing, they focus on the trans woman who hid their identity, or so they say. This kind of treatment by the justice system and law enforcement pushes these things further outside of the charmed circle, making them more stigmatized and dangerous to people in society. Throughout this video, we've shown only a few examples of how the number of social systems influence the sexuality system and how there are more sexual double standards for men and women than we might realize. We hope that we were able to open your eyes more to the society around you.